The other question that was brought up that I really, really liked, I think something that, again, that we all struggle with is from a member in the support group who said she feels that she's ready to work on the next stage in working on her inner child. She says one sees various online help saying the issues from our childhood need to be quote unquote addressed. But how does one actually go about that? For example, as an exercise, whenever I feel triggered now, I try to identify the feeling and then I try to understand it in terms of where it came from in my childhood. But then what do I do with that knowledge? I mean, how do I address that? I'm guessing some kind of reprogramming ourselves. Anyways, look forward to catching some more of your live stream tonight. And thank you. Great question. There's like a lot of, it's so frustrating, right? Like there's so much lingo that's thrown out around there that is just like catchphrases and buzzwords and when, especially like if we're in therapy or if we're reading self-help books, that there's kind of this assumption that we know what that means. And then we feel kind of bad thinking like, is it just me who doesn't understand what this means? Because I don't know. Like, I don't know. And then it's frustrating because a lot of the words that would be really helpful for healing are not discussed. So, I mean, there's so many things, there's so many barriers to understanding out there, and it is frustrating. So, healing our inner child wounds. How do you go about that, and what exactly does that mean? I think that the person that asked the question is very right on, and I'm very impressed that having to do with sitting with the trigger and identifying the feeling and thinking back to like when else did we feel like this. I think that's huge. So I think that's a big part of it. There's a great book that we're reading in the book club right now. It's called Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder: From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. And if you go to my website and you click on book club, it should take you to the page that you can join in that discussion. I'm late posting my notes on that book this month, so I will be getting those up in the next few days. It's a great book. There's a ton of information in there. He goes over a lot of this. So his whole theory on complex post-traumatic stress disorder is that if we grow up in a childhood, and then there's really, it's kind of like Pia Melody's philosophy. If we grow up in a childhood that's not nurturing, then it's abusive, which is really an extreme thing to say, but I really think that she's right on about that. And this isn't to like judge our parents or to, cast stones at anybody. I think it's human beings are a lot more vulnerable and fragile than we realize, and that people and society and psychology gives credit to. So he goes on about this, these different types of wounds, how they develop in the different types of personalities, and at the more extreme end, more like personality like disorders. Fascinating book. He talks about these different types of childhood wounds, how to go back, how to deal with emotional flashbacks, how to process that. Just like with the gal that asked the question, getting connected to that feeling, and then thinking about when did I also feel this feeling when I was a child, connecting that, sitting with it. He has a handful of different exercises that a person can go through. Somebody mentioned, and this was so insightful and so profound, it was either last week or the week before, about the book. And they had said that they read the book and it was super intense, and that they realized that she said it was really painful but really insightful to realize that her personality was basically a giant coping mechanism. And that really ignited my interest in reading the book, because I thought that was just super interesting. And I got into it, and I see what she's saying, because he talks about personality styles in terms of our different like defense mechanisms. So you fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And the people pleaser type personality is more of the fawn. So it's more of the trying to pacify the potential harm, so we stay safe. Just really, 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 really interesting stuff. It's a great book. I think that'll help give you a lot of clarity as far as how to go about identifying those wounds and addressing them. He also has a lot of exercises as far as reparenting ourselves. And I know that might sound like a bunch of psychobabble or hippie woo-woo. I know it did for me for years. I just thought, oh, give me a break, you know? But the way that he lays it out, the way that he describes it, and it's really great stuff. So like I said, he has got a bunch of these different exercises, you know, with sitting with your pain, with giving yourself the love and the affection and the attention that you didn't get when you were a child. He has exercises about how to go through anger, how to go through how to allow yourself to cry, how to allow yourself to feel. And that if we've undergone any type of trauma in our life, yes, the inner and outer critic. If we go through any type of trauma in our life, then we lose a sense of ourself. And so he talks about it's so important to get back our sense of self, to get back our sense of self-expression. And like that, it was really powerful. And the whole exercise, so here was one of my aha moments, because I was reading that book during lunch today at work. He talked about, you know, allowing yourself to cry and to do things that will provoke tears in you. And I thought that was a really great way to handle it. So he talks about, you know, watching a movie that you'll, like Titanic, right? That you know you're going to cry in, just to help yourself with that release. And so when that emotion comes up, just riding that wave and getting it up and out of your system. Really, really great. What my aha moment is when I was a kid, probably around 13 or 14. And it's so funny because I was just thinking about this a few weeks ago and thinking, like, that's so weird. I was such a weird kid. My favorite movie was Beaches. Do you guys remember that movie with Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey? It's the story of two friends, and I don't want to, you know, give away the story. It's this incredibly great story of this amazing friendship these two women have, and how they go through things. And Bette Midler's character is very narcissistic. She's all about herself. I mean, not in like necessarily an intentionally harmful way, but she's just all about herself. Barbara Hershey is like the supportive friend. She's the one in the background. And we used to rent that movie every single weekend. And I loved it. And every single weekend we would go, and my brother would rent a video game and I would rent that movie, and he would throw a fit because he, you know, hated that movie. And I would sit there and I would cry. And I would watch that movie probably 2 or 3 times that weekend. I just could not get enough of it. And reading that book today, it dawned on me, that's why I liked that movie so much. Because it made me cry. And I had all of this stuff inside that I didn't feel was valid. I had all of this sadness and all of this anger, and it didn't feel valid, because the stuff that I was going through was, you know, it wasn't overt. It was just all of these, like, the subtle grinding down kind of stuff. And I didn't identify that was even problematic or abusive until, you know, 6 months ago. So I don't know. It was just really full of insights, full of aha moments. If you guys read the book, I'll be curious to see, you know, what you have to say about it, and if you have any insights and aha moments. So that's a good book for what to do with that information, with your inner child and all that. Another book that is fantastic is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And that was also another book club book that we did oh, probably 4 or so months ago. And my notes for that book are also in the book club. And I take very extensive notes and post my takeaways from that as well. So highly, highly, highly recommend that book. If you haven't heard me talk about that book before, it was one of those books I was recommended by a friend about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. I opened it. I thought it was a bunch of nonsense, and I was so disappointed because he said it was amazing, life changing for him. I didn't read it. I just thought it was a bunch of hippie woo woo nonsense. And I picked it up for the book club, and it totally resonated with me this last time around. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is brilliant." And it just made so much sense. So, if it doesn't resonate with you at first, keep reading. Keep reading. And she also, Louise Hay has a ton of stuff on YouTube too. So if you wanted to dig into that, some of that now, a lot of like affirmations and self-talk and a lot of that. So really, really good stuff.
Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.